Hey, this is Fish, and today is In the Tank with Fish, not I got tanked with fish. I just want to make sure you understand. In the Tank with Fish, and my special guest today is none other than Kary Hauck from Sapphire Marketing.
I'm honored to be invited.
And so I was trying to think, right, because I knew we were going to be in here chatting. I was trying to think, where did I meet Kary?
Well, I first heard about you through my husband.
Yeah, and I knew, yeah.
I mean, I've known Pablo and Aaron for a while. Yeah. I met them before I met you. So I heard about you initially through Dennis. And then for the first time I met you, you said, I love your husband.
I do. I love that guy. You know, I think this way about Dennis. Uh-huh. If you don't like Dennis, there's something wrong with you.
That's right. I agree.
Dennis is fine, right? Uh-huh. You know, so yeah, I met him through my chaplaincy at the Yuba City PD.
Yes.
But what really impressed me with Dennis was when we did the Officer of the Year. Mm-hmm. That guy is a good MC.
He is.
He knows how to MC.
But he really puts a lot of work into it. I watched him those years he was doing that, and he really put a lot of work into it. All the planning, he had his script ready, and he always tried to make it better each year.
So I know that in meeting you, we talked about, because of Sapphire, we talked about different things. And when I do remember, you had Dee Dee Brady.
I love Dee Dee.
And I met you guys, and you were over at an office. Mm-hmm. I forget where that office was.
Stafford, over behind El Zarape.
Yeah, it was kind of had to kind of go find you back there. But,
yes.
But now I love your office now.
Oh.
Right off 2nd Street. I mean, it's
so nice. It's us. It's not like we moved into a place that was already, we did a lot of renovations when we moved in there, built some walls, did new flooring, and it feels like a place that really represents us now.
I like it. The other thing I like is, well, I'm going to ask you a little bit about you, but I got to say the things I like.
Oh, thank you.
Right? And then we'll go. I like what you guys have done with the Peach Festival. And we are going to talk about that because that's coming up in 1 week.
1 week from today. 1 week from today.
And, but, I had gotten to know you a little bit. But, honestly, Kary, you can know people, but you don't really see their skill set until you see it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And when you guys changed the Peach Festival to putting the booths down the center so you could hit the brick and mortar or the booths, I just thought that was brilliant. I mean, you've done a lot of other great things, but as a vendor, right, as one of the ones out there, I just went, this is a class act, right?
It's hard to put it down the middle of the street. There's a lot of challenges, but I feel like when you put those booths against the curb and gutter, and you're essentially blocking the brick and mortars because you're forcing foot traffic down the center of the street. So they're looking at the booths, but it hurts the brick and mortars to not have that foot traffic coming in their stores. So, and Marysville has so many great businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, really, Marysville is on an uptick right now. But even before that, there are just so many great businesses to visit in downtown Marysville that the public, our visitors, were missing out on that experience.
Well, and I feel like you can block me from any business, but when you block me from the scones, you've gone way too far. You do not separate me from the scone woman, I call it.
We shall not separate you from the scones.
Yeah. So did you grow up in Marysville, Yuba City?
Not Marysville, but very nearby Live Oak.
Oh, really?
Yes, I grew up on a cattle farm in Live Oak. Was a ranch kid my whole life. Graduated Live Oak High School and, was in the 4-H programs and all of that stuff. My mom was our community leader for 4-H. And so she's really who taught me about community service and giving back. My dad was a combine mechanic, so he worked on heavy equipment his whole life. And so we really were an ag-based family.
You have siblings?
Oh, yes. I have an older brother. His name is Casey. He owns Roseville Strength and Conditioning in Roseville. And I have a younger sister, and she works for Core Financial Group.
We've just recently had her in here.
Yes, that's right. I saw her on your show.
She was on the air. She's a little bit shy.
Yeah, she is. She
Yeah.
is. She and I are
Although
very
you could
different.
probably tell me sister stories that would say, not
No,
really.
she's always been relatively shy.
Because she might be watching this.
Yes. We have very different personalities. We always say the only thing similar is our voices. We
Yeah.
sound just alike, but yes.
So-
She's a great sister aunt. She's just, she's the best.
So growing up here, have you had friends that, like, from high school that you actually still hang out with?
Yes.
Really?
Okay, so one of my best friends in high school that went to my high school, her name was Deanna McCracken at that time, is now Deanna Pope. And she works for the City of Yuba City in the finance department, and we still get together and have lunch from
Oh,
time to
come on.
time. And actually, I'd mentioned 4-H. My two best friends on this planet, Jenna Berry and Andrea Brickard, we grew up, met through 4-H and 4-H camp, and we're constantly together. Yeah.
Are you amazed that they're still in this area? I mean,
They're
I
not
always-
here. One's in Lincoln and one's in Sacramento, but we
Well,
still get to see
okay.
each other all the time.
Well, because I was going to say, I meet people and they say, I can't wait to get out of that town, right?
Uh-huh.
Or they say, oh, I left and I'm back and I'm staying. It's like you meet people and they say, well, you know what? This wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah,
right?
no.
You know, I couldn't wait. Did you ever have that? I want to get out of here.
I
thing?
have that I'd like to retire when we get
Well,
ready to
that's different,
retire. Obviously California isn't the best place to retire, so we are looking at potentially retiring somewhere else. But we're here for the next decade or so.
Yeah, California. In order to retire here, you're going to have to get off the grid and live in a pup tent,
Pretty much.
which isn't really the way
A yurt?
people
I'll
want to live.
take a yurt.
He was like, I don't think I want to do that. So your husband Dennis
Mm-hmm.
has, well, they call it a side hustle because his
Yes.
main job is as a Yuba City police
For
officer.
4 more days.
Is that it? 4 days? Dennis, come on, Dennis, right?
Yes, 4 more days left in uniform, so he'll be at the PD Monday through Thursday next week, and then that's it.
But he's done some work for me, right, for 93Q.
Yes, uh-huh.
And what I like is there is a difference between somebody that's just doing a job and somebody that likes their job. And I just get the impression when I get around you two, you like what you're doing, right? You guys are enjoying what you're doing. It's not that it's not work.
Right.
And you're not doing the same thing, but sometimes you get to do the same thing.
Yes.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Like you guys are riding around in the little go-kart that you have when we did the fireworks
Yes.
show recently. But I just think that's great. And people that love doing what they're doing, usually they do a better job. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, we
It's,
do love what we do, and it doesn't, it's not for everybody. We know that. It's not for
Yeah.
everybody. But we love what we do, and it doesn't, for me, it's a labor of love because it really doesn't feel like work. When you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work.
That's why I love radio.
Yeah. Oh, yeah?
I don't know why. I never knew I was going to do radio. I mean, I was a pastor.
Yeah.
And things just happened. I ended
The
up
Lord
on the radio.
leads you down certain
he
paths.
said, I think he said, I need to put you on radio or something.
But look at the impact you've made with what you've done here with 93Q in our community. There wasn't that portal before. We didn't have that way to promote and support local events and organizations, and you've made that possible. And I do feel like sometimes the Lord leads you to where you need to be.
Yeah.
Oh, He always leads you to where
well,
you need to be.
John McCain, Senator John McCain, pushed for low power FM, LPFMs. And I've always been a community guy. I've always felt like we got to do something. I just can't believe that everybody everywhere oppose each other over such surface issues, right?
Right.
And I don't find that to be true in the Yuba Sutter area. If something goes down, there's more people wanting to help than there is saying, I don't care. This is a very caring community.
Yes.
And so having an opportunity to do radio, John McCain said that commercial radio will go into an area and they'll kind of buy up the radio, the airspace. He said the problem with that is they'll play national commercials. They'll do more national stuff than local. So he felt like the local voice wasn't heard. So when this opportunity came up, I went and took a college class, a research class on LPFM.
Yes.
And I found out I like this.
Yes.
I want to do this, right? This is not, normal stuff. And of course, now we're doing the podcast,
Oh,
which was an
amazing.
offshoot of the radio, right? And getting to do that, and then being around you because you're very creative because of that marketing. I mean, we were just sitting out there, and you're coming up with stuff.
I love that. I love it. That's what, that's why it doesn't feel like work when you love it,
Yeah.
but you mentioned something and we were talking about potentially doing another radiothon and I was like, we don't want to wait till Valentine's Day. You've
Yeah.
done so much work here in the studio and provide another way for us to connect with the community. Let's do another radiothon. And I was saying, hey, maybe this fall. And so then it starts running through my head, what can we name it?
Exactly. So stay tuned, folks, because we will be doing Sapphire Marketing is going to help us. We're supposed to do membership,
Oh,
and that's how it's supported, member supported in that. And so when you came up with the idea of doing a radiothon, and we did it, it was really fun. I was amazed, but a lot of people that we've had on the internet supported it, came
Yes.
and actually, because we did 12 hours.
Yes.
I mean, it was just it was great 12 hours.
Uh-huh.
So you want to do 24 hours? I'm 72. I want to be in bed by 10.
we'll just set up a little hammock out here for you.
Exactly. It's like a little film at 11, right? He's out there crashed, right?
Maybe they'll donate just for them to flash a picture of you snoring in the corner.
Oh, that's one of those things where I don't know if it happens to you and Dennis, but Patty and I'd say, Patty, you snore. I never snore. Patty, I heard you. No, I didn't do it. I never did that. To fish, you snore. I don't snore.
I think we all snore.
Yeah, I
at
think
certain
probably it's
times,
true. We
yes.
just don't want to admit it, right? So I, given your background, I'm really kind of surprised that you and Dennis don't own a ranch.
And he grew up on a cattle farm too.
He
I'm
did?
like, we're probably related. Families both came back from back west or east, Oklahoma area, and came out here during the Dust Bowl. And it's so I always joke that we're probably related somehow.
Cousins.
Exactly.
Distant cousins, very distant.
No, we don't have time for that. I mean, honestly, we do
Yeah.
love what we do, but we work really hard at it, and we're putting in the time to grow the business and make sure our customers are served. And so that's sometimes a 12-hour day. So there's no time for any farm animals or anything.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Okay. What is Kary's 12-hour day? How does your day start?
Well, right now it's a little bit more than 12 because of Peach Festival. But, my day usually starts with me checking my phone to see if there's anything I need to respond to from overnight. Then I get ready and I come into work. And, it depends on the day whether, I may start at 7. I have to start at 5:30 next week, But work all the way. And usually, like last night, it was dark. It was almost dark when I left the office. But.
So which is takes up more time? Because as a marketing company, you do events, right? But you also do political campaigns. Which one of those takes up more time to do?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think they're very different. So like right now, for the last 2 weeks, I'd say it's been pretty busy and chaotic with the big event coming up. So we're working more hours now, but political season is like 2 months of that. It's
Nonstop.
It's not just like 3 weeks of that ahead of it. It's long days. I'll tell you, like the busiest campaign season I ever had, I was working 17-hour days, 7 days a week. And it's only for 6 weeks that it's really chaotic like that. And I had taken on a lot of candidates at that time.
Yeah.
And so I learned my lesson to maybe, hey,
I know it's a business.
Yes.
Right? So I understand that. But does it feel a little personal if your candidate doesn't win? Or if they do? I mean, do you get attached to the point that you're like,
100%.
I'm crushed.
Oh, gosh, I'll tell you.
My candidate didn't win, or whoa, we're partying like you, right?
No, you're so emotionally invested, and I think you're not human if you're not.
Yeah.
Here's somebody that you've spent a ton of time with, and obviously you ran them for office because you think they're the best fit. I always say I want to run the best fit for office. I don't want to run the guy who's going to pay the most or anything like that. I don't care about that. I want to run the person who I feel is the best fit to lead our counties and our cities, and is going to lead it with the kind of heart that we need. take the arrogance and that out of it. Who's going to run with heart and really make the best decisions for our community? And so when they lose, which inevitably happens, it's a heartbreaker. I'll tell you, the closest race I've ever worked on was this last election cycle. And actually, Brad Hudson and I were sitting kind of yucking it up about it at the 4th of July, but it was like a 6-vote difference.
Oh, my
it was
God.
so close that when we finally got the final word from the elections office, I almost cried. I just think Brad's like the greatest. I just love the guy. He's just good people. And I remember calling him when we got the word, and I went over to Stassi's because he was working, and gave him a hug. It just felt, it was such a relief, such a weight lifted that we were going to have him lead in Marysville for another 4 years.
I love the transitioning that I've seen politically in this area over the last 6 years. You're seeing a change. You're seeing people on both sides of the river that genuinely, as just somebody living here, I like knowing, with Yuba City having first responders, that are involved, right? Or in Marysville, I think of the businessmen that are involved. And I think of the things that are going on, and it's like, you need that. You need people that, they got skin in the game.
Absolutely.
If I have a business and I'm sitting on city council, I'm going to be concerned about businesses. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's like I don't know, if I ever run for office, I'll call you. Right? I may run for dog catcher. I don't know. Actually, I think it'd be good if I could run for the guy that decides who gets a license to fish. And where they get the fish, right? I think I'd be the right guy for that, right?
Well, I think you could. Yeah, you're undercutting yourself there. I think you'd be a great community leader. I mean, like I said, you have all those qualities that I say make a great candidate and a great elected official, and that's what you lead with heart.
Yeah, I don't know what else to do.
You either got it or you don't, right? Yeah.
So I want to go to the events that are coming up, and
Yes.
if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about the Peach Festival because it's like literally right around the corner, and there's always questions I ask like, is there still opportunity for people to volunteer? Do you need volunteers for the Peach Festival? And is there still opportunity, right, for them to sign up to do that? Maybe it's an organization or just an individual that says, I want to be part of it. I don't want to just attend it. I want to help.
So there are some opportunities. Typically, we have some volunteers that help us with barricade patrol to make sure that cars aren't moving the barricades and driving through the event.
You mean like I do?
Well, you get special treatment, Fish.
I'm walking. We're not that far. I'm not driving this stuff.
Yeah, you can drag all your stuff down to where I have you. But there are some opportunities there. If anybody would like to volunteer, they can call the office. We did come up short on our volunteers this year. And normally, I'm pretty good about going around and checking all the barricades and replacing them if they've been moved. And my whole team is, so they all know, hey, if you see one moved, put it back. So that's really the only volunteer opportunity, unless somebody would like to volunteer with Say Love, who does all of our trash management for us.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And that's, if they want to volunteer, they can get a
Yeah.
hold of Jeff and come out and volunteer put on a yellow shirt and volunteer for a few hours.
That's really good. So the next thing I would want to know is about vendors. Are we too late for vendors, or also I will group them together, sponsors? Is
Yes.
it too late for somebody to say, hey, I want to sponsor that. I want to be part of that. Is it too late to get their name on the stuff, or?
It's too late to get your name on some of the marketing has already gone out, but it's
I thought it might.
But if somebody wanted to call me today and say, we want to, give $1,000 sponsorship, I'm going to make them a special sign to put up at the event and that kind of thing.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So I will take care of them to make up for some of the marketing they've already missed.
But what about a vendor? Because aren't there certain licenses that vendors have to have, like if they're food or whatever? I mean, the city of Marysville say you have to have this license if you're going to be at this event, or do you have to handle the licensing?
So I work with Yuba County Health, the Environmental Health Department. So they have a health inspector that I work with. In fact, when I leave here, I'm going there. But there is a form they have to fill out. But I will if it's a food that we don't already have in the festival, if you've got an ahi pokey truck, and I mean, we don't have that food at the festival, and you call me today, I'm getting you in.
Okay, so I just want you to know I'm going to go home and talk to my wife because I think Mama Fischetti spaghetti.
There we go.
I think that would be a winner for dinner.
Yes,
And
yes.
my wife, if she sees this, will be going, really?
But we are full in many categories already. And so we have about 100, and I think when I left the office, I think we're at 136 vendors, and that's taking up over 170 spaces. So
Wow.
it's a large festival. I mean, it goes from First Street down to 6th, and the booths are all down the middle of the street, like you mentioned. And then this year we've had so much food come in. I mean, clearly, Peach, it's a foodie festival. I mean,
Yeah.
we are celebrating a food.
Yeah.
And so the food trucks, I mean, and the food vendors, I mean, that's kind of exploded over the last couple of years. So we have 3 huge food courts. And so we've taken more advantage of the numbered streets along D Street and filled some of those in.
I know that I kept hearing, I think it's called AJ's Sandwich Shop, and he made a peach burger, right? And they were all making fun of me, and I said, so I was doing interviews, so I interviewed him, and he called me out. he said, you never eat one. And I said, no, I can't put peach and burger together. So he made me one. And I literally had to eat my words because it was
And what'd you
that
think?
good.
Yeah?
It was great.
Yes.
And I was like, who'd have thought of putting a peach on a burger, right?
Oh, right. Well, you think about pineapples on pizza. We have
Yeah.
a pizza vendor coming that's doing a prosciutto and peach pizza. Yeah, and I thought,
may have to try that.
I'm thinking like, I wouldn't mind having peaches instead of pineapple. I'm not a big pineapple fan.
Yeah.
I would not mind peaches on like a Canadian bacon pizza.
There's going to be a lot of food, a lot of choices for
A
food.
lot.
Lot.
I mean, Wing Zone's coming over from Yuba City, and they're doing a barbecue peach. She made a barbecue peach sauce. So it's like barbecue sauce with some peach puree in it. And then they have, if you've never tried their funnel cake fries, I was joking the other day on a Facebook post, but I said, I think my soul left my body. They were so good, and she's bringing that over with some peach dipping sauce. We've got jalapeno poppers with peach dipping sauce. I mean, anything you can think of peach related. Every food vendor has to have a peachy item in order to come to the festival.
Yeah, we're bringing Kurt, the guy that does these. He's just a peach of a guy.
He's just peachy.
You got to say to the guy that's filming you, you want to look good. Make up.
right.
I need help here, right? You know?
Yeah.
So the Peach Festival being 2 days, right? And so, and this might be some unusual questions, but I'm trying to think, if I'm somebody going, right, what am I going to think about for parking? Because I know sometimes the parking at the Habitat's available, and it's like $4,
$5 or
$5.
something, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's really not bad, right?
That's what I would do.
Because that's just easy, and that's, man, you're
And-
hitting right
And you're
at the,
supporting a great organization.
well, I don't like John Nicoletti that much. Oh, is that going in the air? Paisan, I'm sorry. It's like, yeah, I mean, I think that's true. I think sometimes we should think about that if I'm doing something and it's supporting an organization, right? Or you know, even if it was a family-owned thing, right?
Right.
I think about that. You know, like I'm at the Sonaros, and it's like, it's a family-owned farm. And they're Italian. I mean, it's like,
Yes, yes. So parking is always a question we get, especially the week of the festival. A lot of questions about handicap parking. So there's handicap parking throughout the city, but from what I've been informed that if you have that blue placard, you can pretty much park anywhere. So I'm sure you'll find something.
my wife has one,
Yeah, I'm sure
so
you'll
I don't
find
want to
something
get
that'll
caught
work.
using it, but it's
Yeah. But it is a free community event. You don't have to pay to get in. So supporting Habitat and parking in their parking lot, to me, is not a stretch.
So who are like major sponsors? What companies or corporations really get behind the Peach Festival, right? And say, hey, I want to be a sponsor for that because I believe agriculture and what the Peach Festival represents is important.
Well, the city of Marysville owns the event, so clearly.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they actually own it, and they contract with me to put it on.
Wonder if they'd sell it. I'm just kidding.
They might.
That's the last thing I
Hey,
need to do is buy a
if the price
festival.
is right, I'm sure they might.
I'll change the name to Fish Festival. We're having Fish Fest, right? That's not a bad idea,
Hey,
Fish
I'm
Fest.
kind of thinking that sounds good. Yeah. So yeah, they own the event, so of course they underwrite the whole thing.
Oh.
What my job is as their contractor is to try and not cost them any money by raising the sponsorship dollars and also having enough vendor revenue to cover the overall cost of the event. And I think we've done that and actually made the city money over the last several years.
They like you.
I like them.
They would just unusual. I hate to say it, but if they, if it went, I ran short 100,000, the friendship could be at stake, right?
Well, I like to do business very fairly, and I'll tell you, I'll use 4th of July as an example. We have a contract for a certain dollar amount, so I could bill them for that whole contract, but the way that I look at it, and to be fair, I saw that we were going to have a sponsorship shortfall. And so I said, let's cut back on the advertising budget, and then we don't have to charge the city that. And even though I could, because we have a contract, I don't. Because if I can save them money and I see there's going to be a shortfall, then I'm going to save them money.
Well, there was no attendance shortfall.
No, that was
crazy.
huge.
I heard Chief Sachs, he was supposed to be on the air, but he'd come off vacation. And Chief sent me a text, and he said they had record numbers of people. They were out of parking spaces.
Yes.
I'm just thinking this was terrific. And
Right.
thank you so much for inviting us to do the music, because I've experienced fireworks shows, but where we were sitting,
Oh, yeah.
I thought I was going to be looking out at the fireworks. I had to lay my chair back and look straight
was
up.
me.
It was just
I
crazy.
was wondering why my neck hurt
Yeah,
yesterday.
it
And I was like, oh.
I'm trying to show it to my wife. I'm on FaceTime going, look.
Yes, no, but I try to be really fair with our customers. If we have a retainer contract or anything like that, and even though like a lawyer will charge you, even if you don't use any time, we don't do it that way. We're very fair in the way that we conduct our business. So
So you're doing, you do Peach Fest and the Christmas Parade.
right.
What else do you do do you do any other?
That's for the city of Marysville, and we do the 4th of July, so we do those 3 events for the city
Okay.
of Marysville. And of course, the 4th of July, we can't not mention the other municipalities. Everybody pitches in for the fireworks
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
So City of Yuba City, Sutter County, Yuba County, they all pitch in along with Marysville to make that happen. It's really a bi-county event. And if I can hop back a second, I did overlook mentioning some sponsors for the Peach Festival.
Do it.
So Recology is a huge supporter. They give us all of that trash, all of the trash containers for free. I mean, they do, and they've done it since the beginning of the festival. And I think I asked last year, what's the dollar value of this? And it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $17,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's a huge contribution. So thank you to Rigo and Zara and everybody over there. And then Yuba County's a huge supporter, Yuba Water Agency, Cal Water, Enterprise Rancheria. I mean, the list goes on. But a lot of Marysville businesses, there's several local businesses here that donate. So
And you have the Business Alliance, or whatever they're calling it. I forget business.
the Marysville
something.
Business Alliance.
Yeah, down there, and they're excited because
Yes.
you've made it so local business can really thrive in the middle of it. So
Right, and we're doing, for the first time since I've been working on this since 2019, we're hosting a sponsor appreciation event on the patio at the Brick on Wednesday next week. So we've invited the sponsors out for some refreshments, some scones.
I'm getting an invite, folks. There's a scone involved. I want to go.
I believe Heather and her chef are coming up with some delicious peachy dishes for us, and we get to actually kind of pay homage to these sponsors that normally we don't get to have that one-on-one connectivity with at an event like this. So it's special this year.
There's also, you were telling me that you have connected with some other medias
Oh,
to
yes.
be involved. And how important, Kary, from a marketing perspective, for a city or for an area is it? Because we're in radio, this is called small market because of the number of people. Chico's medium market, Sacramento's large market. So if a media entity from Sacramento comes to an event up here, how big is that for us as a community?
It gets us in front of an audience that we don't typically have. And so for the last couple of years, I've sent out press releases and tried to get several news organizations up here to cover the Peach Festival itself, and haven't had any bites. So this year I took a different approach, reaching out to each one of them separately.
You went to their house, knocked on their door.
But I offered them special interviews. If you'd like a Marysville interview with the Marysville mayor, I can set that up. If you'd like an interview with the previous winner of the peach pie eating contest that's going to compete again this year, I can get that, a peach grower, and on and on. So I gave them like 5 different options, and that seemed to do the trick because we have, I'll be in Sacramento 2 days next week doing live interviews at different stations down there. And then we have 2 Sacramento stations coming up here Friday morning to cover setup for the Peach Festival, which is ahead of the festival opening, which means that we'll hopefully have more visitors coming from outside of the area.
Can you tell us who they are?
Yes, Good Day Sacramento is coming out on Friday morning, as well as KCRA.
That's cool. I don't know, if you really, if you press me and you're really kind to me, you might get some 93Q coverage. I'm just saying.
All right. We need that 93Q coverage.
I like the 4-H group that does the pancakes down at the Silver Dollar.
Yes.
And so we went down there and did a live thing with them once before, and I talked to the 4-H, and they said yes, they would be back down there this year. So I may go down. I mean, it's really, I'm just getting me some pancakes.
Yeah, peaches and pancake breakfast.
Hey, that was
yes.
great,
Great way to kick off your Saturday.
Yeah. So are they still going to have the 5K run?
Yes. Training Zone is putting that on. And
Thank you, Chris Gill.
Yes.
A great guy.
Yes, I believe it's the Lyndhurst Blazers that will benefit from that run. And so so you can help another local organization. And then actually the first night, the first actual kickoff to the event, the Marysville Youth Shooting Sports puts on a pub crawl, and it's they go to 6 or 7 different restaurants and bars down here in Marysville. It's a very popular event, and so that actually happens Thursday night, the 13th.
I was totally unaware of that.
Yeah, I know it's not your scene fish, but but I am filling your studio.
I am a fish. I don't drink like a fish, but I am a fish. Right? It's like, yeah.
I am filling 93Q studio with a lot of these different micro events, I call them, within the Peach Festival. So
That's really cool.
Next week you'll have John Messick for the pub crawl. You'll have Justine Gill from Training Zone to talk about the 5K, and then the 2 Sodaro girls, Sarah and Jennifer, are coming in. So yeah, you're going to have 4 people in your radio studio.
I'm still working on my adoption into that family.
They're wonderful.
They like me.
Yes.
You're born in Brooklyn. Okay? I'm not Sicilian, but I'm still acceptable.
They're wonderful.
Like,
And then last year, you were the recipient of the first ever John Sodaro Honore Award.
I just love John. He was just such a great guy. And that was a tearjerker for me because I was sick that day.
Right.
So
We
I
had you
to
on
do it by
FaceTime.
phone. Yeah,
Yes.
it's like poor Dennis. I just appreciate it, but it was like, this is an odd thing. It's like, it's okay. We're talking to fish. It's like, here he is right here. You know?
Oh, so it was our first year. We wanted to do awards since 2019. And when, for those that don't know, the Sodaro family is the one who came up with the original idea for the Peach Festival, and they pitched it to the city along with Andrew Coolidge. And so with that, the Peach Festival was born, and so they have played such an integral role in the development of the Peach Festival. So John, Dad, was the peach farmer, and so we created an award in his name after he passed. And then, so that will go to a lucky recipient this year, Friday night, 6 o'clock on the 3rd and D stage. And then
Hopefully they're there. They should be there.
Well, fingers crossed. I might know who the recipient of that is, and I've already made some calls to make sure they're there. And then we also implemented the Didar Baines Award, the Visionary Leadership Award. And Didar, we lost him last year. And he was known as the Peach King because he was the biggest peach farmer in the country, I think, or maybe, and I know the state of California. But so the Baines family will be here for the awards. The Sodaro family will be here, so it's a great time.
So I just want to ask you a little bit about Farm Fest, right? Because I think every time we talk, there's something stirring, and I mean, it's almost like I can see a little smoke coming out your ears. It's like the wheels are turning, right? New stuff is happening all the time.
Yes.
So, where did that conceptually come from, and what are you hoping to do with it?
So conceptually, it came from, I mean, it's not a new idea. It came from the Prune Festival. I mean, we had the Prune Festival in Yuba City for years. And it was a great event, and but it only celebrated one commodity group. And I feel like we have, what are our top 10 commodities here? So the idea where it came from is I'm good friends with Carm Baines. And I asked him one day, how do I buy Baines peaches? Like peaches you grow here, what label is it under? And he told me how to buy them, and I said, people don't know that. Like, I want to educate the public on how to buy locally grown produce under what label, so we can better support our local ag community.
That's a great idea.
And so it's more of a educational event, but also, gosh, what do we make? What dishes do we make with all of these delicious commodities that can be celebrated at a single festival? So it's really a celebration of the top 10 commodities in Yuba and Sutter County.
And I'm sure rice is one of them.
Rice is one of them.
I had two ladies come on the air early on. Right? I don't remember where I met them, but they were selling these little bags of rice. And I want to say it was Black Fox or something like that. And my wife and I bought it, and it was awesome.
Really?
Awesome. Just, think of it. Now, so if they happen to see this, because we don't know how to get the rice anymore, right?
Well,
and it was a local rice thing, and my wife loves rice, right? And she has her favorite, right? But this was a local grown specific rice, and it was really good. And they had two. They had regular like white rice, and they had a brown rice,
right?
And you get either one. We had them both, and they were really good. They were little 5-pound bags of it, and then. And now I've lost contact with them. So hopefully when you have Farm Fest, I'll go by and go, there it is.
Right, but we have so many great growers here, and we'd love to just better support them.
Yeah.
And so that's where the concept came from. And we do have a group of people. We haven't been meeting actually we're supposed to meet today at noon. It was on the schedule, but there was a hold up with where are we going to have the event. Originally, we talked to Yuba City. That didn't happen because we talked about doing it in Yuba City, and Yuba City working with us on it. And Sutter County, we talked to Sutter County, and they didn't want to own it in a festival. So I had promised Marysville Mayor Chris Branscombe, who wanted to bring an event like this. He had several people have the idea, and so he and I had met about it, and I said, I promise if Sutter County passes this up, I'll bring it to Marysville. And so that we're now working with Marysville, and we've talked about, it's only 3 months from now. It would be October 6th and 7th this year. So I've talked about, I can't do something to the scale that I want to the first year, so we either table it for 1 year, or we hold it in downtown Marysville, almost like Peach Festival, but we dedicate like 3rd and D Street, one side of the intersection to the rice growers and one side to the prune growers, and then the next 4th Street's peaches, and it could be, I know, any other walnuts, so separate it all down
You have
D
to have
Street.
an almond area.
Oh yeah. You know that you call them almond or almond?
Almond.
Okay. All right.
Well, I don't know.
I was always taught they're
It might-
almonds when they're on the tree, but when they fall off the tree, it knocks the L out of them.
So now they're almonds.
Anyway, but that's the thought, that we may do it on D Street. There's some, we're waiting till after Peach Festival to really have that conversation. But ultimately, it appears that it will be held in Riverfront Park, just where we had the 4th of July.
Great idea.
And I've already mapped everything out. We can get about 300 booths in there. And we would like to add a music festival over in the in Cotton Rosser Arena as part of it for some up-and-coming country acts. We've talked about doing camping, offering camping spaces down there to people who come up for the weekend.
Cool. Yeah.
And make it a full weekend event. I mean, you can't even hit 300 vendor booths in one day. So
Isn't there a boat ramp near there?
Yes.
Well, I think we should combine that with Fish Fest. And
We'll give you a fish booth.
Fish will sponsor a fishing
We
competition.
could do a fishing
right?
derby or
Come
something,
on,
yes.
Yeah, it's like, I don't, what would be the fish they would be going after at that particular
I
season?
don't know. I'm October.
It
We'll
sounds
have to do
terrible.
some
I don't
research.
know that. There's people out there going, really?
Yeah, I know. Me either. I'm right there with you. But no, we'd love, and you've even talked with 4th of July, trying to grow that event, and I said it would be fun to launch rafts from like the Feather on the Yuba City side at their little night. I can't think of what their area is
That
called.
boat ramp?
Yeah, but north of the 10th Street Bridge, and have like a family rafting race or something down the river to the 5th Street Bridge and then pull them off behind the arena. But I mean, we've talked about that would be a fun thing to add to 4th of July. So we're always trying to think about what can we do and add that's new this year.
I like things like that, Kary. That's great ideas. Things that involve the family, right? And that's why when you guys had the 4th of July, and I really wish that, for us at 93Q, we would have jumped on really pushing that out more. There were people that went early, were barbecuing out there, right? And you could do that. Now, we ate at one of the food trucks, and I don't know which one it was. My grandson went and got us stuff. But it was really good food. It was reasonable, right? And it's like, so it wasn't like if you went out there, you couldn't find something to eat.
Oh yeah, you tried pupusas that day, right?
I did. Your husband brought that over. I went, what is this? This is really good.
It's amazing. Yeah, and then he's coming back. He'll be at Peach Festival. He's great.
Was he going to have his own booth making pupusas?
He has pupusas, and he's going to have a peach salsa with the pupusas. Yeah. If you've never had a pupusa, they're like a really kind of a thick dough that looks like almost like a taco, but it's round, and then it's stuffed with meat. There's different varieties, but the ones we get are called chicharron. They're the meat, cheese, and bean, and they're amazing.
What nationality are they?
El Salvador.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're called pupusas salvadores or something like that is the name of the booth.
They're just a great food.
Delicious.
So it's like I can eat it.
I mean, you can tell by the way I look.
I
don't
am
skimp
not
on the
going
food.
anywhere near that.
I don't skimp on the food, and I'm okay with that. So I buy like a dozen pupusas from this guy, and I put them in the freezer at home so that we can enjoy them, for several months after the event.
Yeah, Dennis came by with that. I never had that. I'm really, because I've lived overseas more than once and have traveled, and you get used to it. It's like, well, hey, it doesn't matter what it looks like, right? If you get a color you're not familiar with, right? It's like it's about the taste, and so you learn to just kind of taste it. What do you got to lose,
Right.
And then some things you find and you go, gosh, this is really
Amazing.
good. And we live in an area that has a lot of different nationalities and different flavors and of things, and so so is the a Farm Fest a sure thing in happening?
It's a sure thing that it's happening, but I don't know if it's going to be this year or next. So the city and I need to, if we're going to do it this year, it will be on D Street in downtown Marysville, October 6th and 7th. But we may, like I said, I really have a vision for the event, and I really would like to carry out that vision, but I think it will take a good 9 months to a year to plan. So it may be next year.
So what does Kary want to see happen in this community? What would she like to see more of? Living here all this time, being involved, business-wise and family-wise, and like we talked about friends and that. If you could, it's that typical, what would be your wish for our area? What do you want to really see happen in Yuba Sutter, more than anything?
If I had one thing that I wish that we could accomplish here, it would be to find a solution to the homeless problem. It really impacts our business community in a negative way. And I see these people, and obviously they're distressed. Many of them are distressed mentally or have addiction issues. And if we could solve one issue in our community, that would be my top issue.
As an area, I always wonder, I'm not a government guy that I'm involved enough in it that I really get it. But I always think, we spend a lot of money to research the problem and a lot of money, blah, 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 and I understand that because we're trying to come up with the best use of the resources they have. But a lot of times, and I think the homeless is one of those problems, it's not cut and dry. It isn't just you live in a home or
Right.
you don't. Each individual out there, for a long time, they thought a lot of them were veterans, and they found out it's a very small percentage of the homeless that are veterans. And so, there's a lot of misconceptions about it. And, what should we do? What's our personal responsibility to it, And
There's not a one-size-fits-all solution because
no, so it's very difficult.
it is, but I can tell you as a business owner, having to constantly 24 hours a day monitor our business through cameras and that kind of thing, it really is a lot of extra work for us to run the homeless off of our property constantly. I mean, they're defecating, they're leaving trash behind it. It's like those things are a struggle, and it impacts the quality of life of our entire community. So if I could solve one thing, I think our community would be much better off if we could find a solution to that single issue.
There's a place over in, it's by Save Mart, and it's the old drugstore, CVC or whatever it was. Anyway.
The like Long's Drugs that was
Yeah,
right there?
so,
Okay.
so I go by there, and there's always a lot of homeless there, right? And I went by there, and this is no kidding, this actually happened, and I went by and I said, gosh, if they just pick up their trash, right? Right, it was in my mind, right? Because there was nobody there. It was just the trash. There was no
Right.
people there. And I went by 2 nights ago, and there were 3 homeless guys, and they cleaned that whole place up. They
Really?
picked up all the trash. Yeah, they were putting it in bags and stuff, and I went,
Wonderful.
you guys, if I'd had a couple of bucks on it, I'd have probably
Yes.
given it to them. It's like, you should get paid for that, right? You're doing
Absolutely.
that, right?
I've often thought, even with like Peach Festival, and we have a lot of trash, like, let them keep all the recycling out of it. Let it go through it and keep all the recycling out of it, but help us out and let me maybe pay you through the festival. I mean, this
Yeah.
was before we had Salev. Of course, Salev, I mean, I would not trade them for the world, but we were talking about how can we help the homeless, but give them a hand up, not a handout.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we're gonna run out of time. So,
Okay.
So before we do, one, I just want to thank you for taking the time because I called you short notice and wanted to talk to you. And thanks for just kind of being open. I've known you for a while, but didn't know you were a farm girl and didn't know a lot of those things that you find out, which is why I want to do this in the Tank with Fish, is to talk about those things, but then also talk about what you do and how you're connected with the community. So, Kary, I really appreciate that, and I might be just a tad partial, okay? But
I know you like my husband.
I do. I love
But
that guy.
sometimes
He
you
is
tell
just-
me, I don't tell him, but I like you more. You sometimes have told me that. Don't
Well,
tell him, but I like
we're
you
on
more.
We're on the podcast. Dennis might watch it. Dennis, don't believe everything your wife tells you.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you, and thank you for everything you do for our community. It really does make a difference.
So, any parting thoughts that you'd like to, you want to invite everybody for this weekend?
Oh,
And-
gosh,
and-
absolutely. It's interesting when we talk to people out at the festival. Last year, we had someone there from London that they had heard about the Peach Festival, researched it online, and came out specifically for the event. And so you never know who you'll meet at the festival. So yes, of course, I invite everybody out to the festival, and I know the City Council and City of Marysville would love to have the
Yeah.
visitors come and see us
Yeah.
out at the festival. But again, thank you for having me.
So anyway, this is Fish, and this is one in a series I'm going to be doing called In the Tank with Fish, and I really am going to get a little fish bowl here and a little pet fish and name him Lonnie. I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, but I just want to thank you guys for watching and our interviews on 93Q. We're going to continue to do those, but this gives us an opportunity to speak to someone for a little longer, really kind of broaden the topic. So I want to thank Kary again for coming in. And again, this is Fish. We'll see you in the next time in the tank. Figure out what dive you're going to do into it.